Today we're going to talk about the most overrated ability in Valorant. Some abilities in Valorant are very good. Some are just okay, and then some are a sky heal. But then there's one particular ability in the game where the perception from the community seems to be pretty wildly different than the actual usefulness of it in-game. That ability is, of course, Chamber's Headhunter. Now, firstly, I just want to say I don't think the Headhunter is bad. People seem to have a hard time grasping the English language, and the overrated does not mean bad. But if you did ever happen to somehow find yourself on a Valorant Reddit thread, you might see many people complaining about just how strong this ability is, when in reality, I think at best, it's okay. So let's dive in. Why do people think that Chamber's Headhunter is so strong? Well, Chamber's Headhunter is essentially a gun that you can buy bullets for at 150 credits a pop with a maximum of 8 bullets. This gun has some great features to it as well, such as an incredibly fast equip time of 0.3 seconds, which is less than half of any other gun in the game. You also have the ability to one-shot headshot an enemy at any range, and the ability to aim down sights is only going to help you in that endeavor. Of course, you can also use it on pistol rounds, giving you limited amount of bullets, but the best gun in that round, and it can be a crazy weapon when used in eco rounds as well. This gun has led to some insane clips in both ranked and pro games, and when put in the hands of some of the best players in the world, it can easily swing rounds as you essentially have a very cheap gun, which is more akin to a Guardian, a gun which costs 2,250 credits. In fact, when Ye puts the gun in his hands, he can make Japanese casters do this.
ファーストブラッドバーリーが取りました。イエーイ始まったか。この武器は危険だ。ヘッドハンター。イエーイイエーイイエーイ
Spike down B.
やはりイエーイのヘッドハンターは格別です。
ヘッドハンター対決。
早速エースなるか。
取り入ってますよ。
イエーイ見てる。世界を見てるか。これが。
Or he can flex on his fellow pros by getting an ace only using 6 bullets like he did once against Xset.
Anything against that yet? And
Oof,
big dink.
that hurts. Huge.
Nice swing from
Traded
Ye.
right back. Yeah. Still on hunting. Finds a second. The flash timing is gorgeous. He gets in, gets a kill, gets out.
And that's all the way from back screens that Victor threw that flash. Oh, he's just picking them apart with his Headhunter.
Headhunter on the other side in the second round, huh?
Remaining.
Oh my.
Yep, that's 4. Has he fired 4 bullets? He's got 3 bullets left. He's gonna get the chance at the ace. Def on the other side, and it's so clean. It's so freaking clean as Ye gets 5.
And so basically the Headhunter is a gun in which you can either swap to quickly when needed, particularly useful if you just missed a shot with an operator, or you can use it on an eco and pistol rounds, giving you a much better chance at winning those rounds overall. So case closed, it's an amazing ability. Well, not so fast, because of course whilst the Headhunter does have some things going for it, there are of course some things that we need to consider and study a little deeper. The first thing is, how often are you actually going to use this ability? The pistol round might be one, and maybe you save it for the second round as well. But as soon as the rifles start coming out, your Pocket Guardian is probably going to be outmatched, and you're going to want to use a rifle as well. And so after maybe the first couple of rounds, if the game is going well for you, and you never have to go on an eco round, you legitimately might never fire another bullet of your Headhunter for the whole half, meaning essentially you don't have that third ability. But let's assume the opposite is true. Things aren't going well for you, and so you are going to have to eco some rounds. Well, in those rounds, sure, you will get to use your Headhunter, but again, best case scenario is this is probably only around 6 out of 12 rounds in the half, as you'll want to force those rifles as often as you can to give yourself the best chance of winning those full buy rounds. Now again, with a missed operator shot, the Headhunter can be extremely valuable to save you sometimes, but if you're consistently having an operator, that probably means things are going pretty well, and if you're constantly missing op shots anyway, then you probably should put it down instead. Also, if you're playing Chamber, the first time you miss an op shot, you're probably teleporting away rather than staying with a Headhunter. The Headhunter is almost a last resort if you now can't teleport away. But now let's get to the ecos and pistols, because whilst it might seem that the Headhunter would be the obvious dominant choice, maybe that isn't quite the case. Let's start with the pistol rounds, where most chambers will go and buy their Headhunter bullets and a trademark. This was the normal buy for chamber on pistol rounds for a long time, but the Headhunter a few months ago did receive a price change from 100 to 150 per bullet, meaning instead of buying 6 bullets on a pistol, now you can only buy 4 if you want that trademark. Which you definitely should get, by the way. Stop throwing in your games, buy a trademark on pistol, especially on defensive rounds. How can you be so dumb? Anyway, this cost change has led to some of the best players in the world like Ye sometimes reconsidering their purchases on a pistol round. For instance, here we can see that Ye has gone with a ghost and a trademark instead, and if the literal best aimer in the world doesn't trust his aim enough with only 4 bullets, that might bring into question why you would trust your aim that much either. And then let's talk about ecos, because it has been theorized by many that the introduction of chamber must have led to more eco round wins because of the Headhunter. And I, like many, thought, yeah, that sounds plausible. Before this video, I went back and checked a couple things real quick from 2 pro tournaments. One was Masters Copenhagen a couple months ago, which was the tournament which saw the most chamber play out of any international tournament, and the other was Champions 2021, the tournament which occurred before Chamber's release. I went through these 2 tournaments and checked the eco and low buy win percentages for each, and Copenhagen ended up with a win rate of 30.85%. But Champs 2021 actually had a higher win rate before Chamber was out of 31.66. So it seems that Chamber's overall impact on eco rounds is not as big as we might have once thought. And this makes some sense to me. The eco guns in Valorant are still pretty decent for their cost. The Marshal, Sheriff, Stinger are all easily good enough to get that first kill, pick up the opponent's gun, and go from there. Let's not forget either that as soon as you fire 3 bullets in a round, because the Headhunter is costing 150 per bullet, that makes it the most expensive ability in the game, so you better be hitting those shots with it as well. And finally, to close my argument, we come to a stat provided by Willminder on Twitter about how chambers at Champs got their kills. And we can see that only 9% of their kills came from the Headhunter, which was less than Chambers' ult at 10.3%. Now, Chambers' ult is incredibly strong, but it is an 8-cost ultimate. Most games you will only have it 2 or 3 times max in a half, and it's still getting more kills than the Headhunter overall, just showing how little use or value you can actually get from using that ability. So in conclusion, the Headhunter is an ability which won't often be used, doesn't get that many kills even in the best players' hands, can be expensive if you miss your shots, doesn't change the overall win percentages of eco rounds, isn't the best option for chamber players that miss their operator shot, and is even being questioned on pistol rounds by pros as well. Yet some still think that this is one of the best abilities in the game. Personally, I do not.